matter who you are, no matter who you love, you are welcome in this place. No matter how you look, no matter what you believe, all are blessed with heavenly grace. We are standing up for justice with
Our reading today is Small Kindness by Danusia Lamaris. I've been thinking about the way when you walk down a crowded aisle, people pull in their legs to let you by, or how strangers will say, "Bless you," when someone sneezes, a leftover from the bubonic plague. "Don't die," they're saying. And sometimes when you spill lemons from your grocery bag, someone else will help you pick them up. Mostly, we don't want to harm each other. We want to be handed our cup of coffee hot and to say thank you to the person handing it, to smile at them, and for them to smile back, for the waitress to call us honey when she sets down the bowl of clam chowder, and for the driver in the red pickup truck to let us pass. We have so little of each other now, so far from tribe and fire, only these brief moments of exchange. What if they are the true dwelling place of the holy, these fleeting temples we make together when we say, "Here, have my seat. Go ahead, you first. I like your hat."
We make fleeting temples which house the divine. In these small moments of connection with strangers, a shared smile, an offered seat, we encounter the holy, our reading imagines. What I like about this idea is how it highlights for me the absurdity and depravity of things like war. Ending another's life is like burning down hundreds of thousands of temples, cutting off the possibility of infinitely many encounters with the divine. It feels like such a straightforward spiritual truth to me. And Unitarian Universalists have been speaking out against war and conflict since our founding. I doubt anyone here in this room needs to be convinced to become a proponent for peace. But by the nature of our diversity of belief, we all may have various different reasons, different deeply held truths that lead us to advocating for peace. There are many faith-based arguments which undergird different people's anti-war convictions. To name just a few, God commands you shall not murder. There are others who believe that harming another living thing incurs negative karma. There are understandings like my own where we are all expressions of the same great source of being, and harm to one is harm to all. And while I think these are all compelling and worthy reasons for peace, they all hinge on certain kinds of belief. Belief about God, or the universe, or the human soul. And not everyone holds those kinds of beliefs. One of the things I love about Unitarian Universalism is our ability to learn from multiple truths, to find inspiration in many sources. Our reading this morning points to another one of those sources. The poet writes, "We have so little of each other now, so far from tribe and fire. only these brief moments of exchange. She seems to be pointing to an earlier stage in human development, to a time before mass communication and the sense of a global community brought on by international trade and the wonders of the World Wide Web. A time when we were more connected to all those around us. She is drawing our attention to the history of human evolution, in which I believe there is a powerful anti-war message. But before I delve any more into a humanist reflection on peace, I have two brief caveats. First, thinking holistically, there are people around today who are not so far from tribe and fire. People across the globe who have retained tight-knit communities and foregone many of the technological changes of the modern world. So when I say we, I just want to be clear that I'm talking about us here in the Cambridge area, who, whether we like it or not, work within these large, often anonymizing systems that discourage human connection. Second, one of the more painful and difficult aspects of our Unitarian Universalist history is how some of our spiritual ancestors engaged with the science of biology and evolution. For instance, excited by the idea of ongoing evolution and driven by a desire for the betterment of humankind, some Unitarians and Universalists were advocates for eugenics. And before them, some were advocates for separating indigenous children from their families because of the harmful belief that a European way of being in the world was somehow more advanced, more civilized. I think it's important whenever we engage with the wisdom of evolution and scientific discovery that we acknowledge our history and do our best not to repeat it. But as the poet points out, in this day and age, we have become so isolated from one another. Or maybe more specifically, we have become kind of insulated from our dependence on one another. You can get just about anything you might need delivered to your door without ever talking to another person. You can Google all your questions and feel connected to the goings-on of the world without ever leaving your bedroom. Though we rebel through forming deep connections with our loved ones, we are systematically discouraged from recognizing our interdependence. We are made to feel alone, as though you cannot rely on anyone but yourself. It is no wonder the myth that we can pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps persists. When those who are the most selfish, who exploit the greatest number of people, end up with the most power and influence. We are steeped in this capitalist ideology which values profit over everything, including human lives. We see this play out on the largest scale as this country continues its shameful legacy of warmongering to control more and more of the world's resources. And this all seems to be normalized and legitimized by this strange reading of human evolution, where survival of the fittest means that it's perfectly natural and human to claw your way to the top. That caring about the success and well-being of others is actually some kind of weakness. Now, I'm no scientist, but my understanding of human evolution is that a very long time ago, over a long period of time. The characteristics that we developed to become human beings were things that supported greater and more complex social interaction. What made us the fittest for survival were characteristics that supported our big brains. And we use our big brains not just to be the cleverest, to get one over on each other, but to figure out how to manipulate our environment together, how to use tools, how to take care of one another, how to plan for the future, and to conceptualize other people and places and possibilities outside of our immediate perception. Compassion and cooperation are certainly not exclusive to human animals, but it does seem to be where humanity has placed the majority of its evolution points. It seems to be what has allowed us to build such a far-reaching and complex societies. What has brought us into a world where we recognize all humans as part of a global community. It is amazing how easy it can be to lose sight of the fact that we are made for one another. We evolved specifically to work together. It is for this reason, among others, that the logic of war is simply incomprehensible. I often struggle to wrap my brain around how things could be going so wrong on such a large scale. How we as a species can continue to act in ways that seem antithetical to who we are as creatures. Especially now, in the face of escalating violence, both here and across the globe, I take more comfort and hope from the moments described by the poet in our reading this morning. When a stranger says, "Bless you," or holds a door, makes any small gesture that reminds us we are in this world together. We were not made to encounter it alone. That mostly, we don't want to harm one another. Putting an end to the violence of war will require an immense amount of organizing, of advocacy, and direct action. But it also requires an overall increase in our capacity for peace. We must conduct our lives in ways that promote peace. As we heard from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in our chalice lighting words, we must understand that peace is not merely a distant goal that we seek, but a means by which we arrive at that goal. I am honestly not here to stake a claim about nonviolence as the only appropriate path to combating injustice writ large. I do not know if some level of violence might be required to protect ourselves and others, to move towards a more just world. But friends, what I do know is that moving through our day-to-day existence, one way to create more peace in the world is to create more peace in our lives. The systems and ideologies that support the global war machine may seem big, and they are. But another part of the equation is that at every level, behind every decision, every missile that is sent, every border that is cruelly enforced, there are just people. People who somehow have managed to live lives that brought them to act against their own best interest as human beings. Imagine if they had encountered enough people who believed differently, enough people who modeled kind and loving ways of being in the world, that they could no longer act in service of the war machine. We all have the power and the accompanying responsibility to make this a more peaceful world. And while that is a heavy burden to bear, it is not always so hard. We do it all the time, through infinitely many small kindnesses. May we remember the rippling impact that these small kindnesses can have, especially on our bad days. Especially when we feel rubbed raw by all of the cruelty in the world, when the kindness we deserve is hard to find. Let us lean into our animal nature, using our words and deeds to remind one another that wherever we came from and wherever we're going together. Blessed be, and may it be so.
I invite anyone who feels moved to sing along.